One day, after Joseph had been in prison for a while, Pharaoh became very angry with his chief cupbearer and baker. He put them in the same prison as Joseph. Joseph helped every prisoner all the time, so he saw them every day. One day when he went to see them, they were both very upset because they had had strange dreams they did not understand. Joseph told them, "Tell me your dreams, because God will help us understand what they mean. God knows the meaning of every dream." So, the chief cupbearer went first. He said, "In my dream there was a vine. The vine had 3 branches, and each one of the branches immediately budded and then had grapes. I squeezed the juice from the grapes into the cups, all 3 grapes. Next, I took the cup, and I appeared in Pharaoh's presence, and I gave the cup to Pharaoh." Joseph said, "The meaning of this dream is that in 3 days, you will be restored to your former position as Pharaoh's chief cupbearer. Please do not forget me." The baker went next. He said, "I was outside, and I had 3 baskets of bread on top of my head. I had baked the bread for Pharaoh, and birds were coming in and eating the bread out of the baskets." Joseph said, "This means that in 3 days you will not be restored to your position, and Pharaoh will put you to death." And it came true. The cupbearer became Pharaoh's chief cupbearer again, but the baker did not. The cupbearer forgot all about Joseph. Then one day, Pharaoh had dreams. First, Pharaoh dreamed about 7 fat groups of grain, and those fat groups of grain were eaten up by 7 skinny groups of grain. Then Pharaoh had a dream about 7 fat cows wading in the Nile River, and those 7 fat cows were eaten up by 7 skinny cows, but no one could tell Pharaoh what his dreams meant.
Oh my goodness, welcome back. Hey, we're so glad you guys could be back with us. So last week, Joseph is in prison. And this week we found out there was a bunch of dreams when Joseph was in prison. The cupbearer, the baker, and the baker's dream did not work out very well. I mean, Joseph was right, but it did not work out well for him. And then the Pharaoh had 2 dreams, and nobody could tell Pharaoh about it. And even though the cupbearer had promised to tell Pharaoh about Joseph, he forgot until now. And he was like, "Oh, hey, Pharaoh, by the way, there's this guy in prison." And he could tell anybody what their dreams meant. He told me what my dream meant, and it happened. So maybe you could, ask Joseph. So what do you think Pharaoh did when the cupbearer told him that?
He went and sent a big beefy guard down him and said, "Pharaoh told me his dream and asked if you could interpret it for him."
Well, actually, you were right about the first part, but he brought Joseph out there to interpret the dream so Pharaoh could hear it for himself.
Yes, that is actually true, Adam. Adam, I'm so glad you're back to interrupt us, but less interrupting. Okay? All right. Adam, man, he's always in there. All right, so back to the story. So Joseph comes out, and Pharaoh tells him the dreams, and he tells him about the 7 fat cows that get eaten by the 7 skinny cows. And he tells him about the 7 fat heads of grain that are eaten by the 7 skinny heads of grain. And what do you think Joseph said the dream meant?
I think he said, if you eat cupcakes for breakfast for 7 days, you will lose 7 pounds.
Well, actually, it meant that there would be 7 years of really good harvest, and then there would be 7 years of really bad famine.
Okay, well, thank you, Adam. Adam, I was gonna say that. I know the story, Adam. I know the story. Can you just...
But Carl is wrong, and I need to do that.
I know. You need to tell Carl every time he's wrong. Okay. So, anyway, yes, he said there would be 7 good years, followed by 7 years of famine. And he said, "Hey, Joseph, if you were in charge of this situation, Joseph, what would you do?" What do you think Joseph's answer was?
He built a big silo out of bacon and put a bunch of cupcakes in it. That means that he could have enough to go through the 7 good years, and even if that wasn't enough, he couldn't eat the silo.
Well, actually, they built huge, regular silos and filled them with all the harvested food.
Okay, so yeah, that's what
Not
Joseph.
likely.
Yes, yes. Listen, that was Joseph's suggestion because Adam, you remember that God had given Joseph 2 gifts besides interpreting dreams. He had given Joseph a gift for leading organizations and being a leader. And when Joseph was a kid, his dad put him in charge of his brothers and the shepherds. When Joseph was at Potiphar's house, Potiphar put him in charge. When Joseph was in jail, they put him in charge. So guess what Pharaoh did? Don't try to eat me. It's not a famine. What did Pharaoh do? What do you think Pharaoh did, Carl? I bet Adam knows. What did Pharaoh do? Adam doesn't know?
I didn't hear a word.
Oh, you didn't hear with your giant ears. Hey, Adam!
These aren't ears.
When Joseph...
They're horns.
When Joseph told him... When... Hold still. When Joseph told him his plan, what did Pharaoh do?
He promoted him to the governor.
Yes, he made Joseph in charge because God had given Joseph a gift
loud.
for being in charge. Well, maybe someone else should be loud besides you, Adam. So God had given Joseph a gift for being in charge, and that was an amazing gift. So, Carl, this is what happened next. There was 7 good years. They had record harvest, and they stored all the extra food in barns, and then there was a terrible famine. And this famine was so bad, it didn't just affect Egypt, it affected all of the surrounding countries.
So like Egypt here. Here.
Yes, all of those places. And
Wow.
there wasn't any leftover food to make cupcakes.
Pow!
Cupcakes didn't exist.
They probably did. There was
I
no.
really doubt that.
There was probably even a bacon shortage.
Wait,
Oh, no.
yeah, the pigs, maybe the pigs died because...
But if the pigs die, they make the bacon out of them.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe. All right. So here's what happened. Joseph and his brothers had not talked in a long time, but his brothers ran out of food where they lived. And because his brothers ran out of food where they lived, they had to come to Egypt to buy food. Now, do you think his brothers thought that Joseph was in charge of Egypt? No, because the last time they saw him, he was beaten up, lying in the bottom of a well, and got sold into slavery. So if you do that, you don't plan on seeing that person in charge of a major country later. And they showed up to buy the food, and Joseph recognized him. But they didn't recognize Joseph.
Because you have all this like fancy stuff on, like, oh, hello, I have this fancy hat, I have this fancy stuff.
Oh yeah, like
Stuff
fancy, like, ooh, I got a fancy thing that you could wear if you were Joseph. Because remember he used to have a fancy coat? Well, now we'll give you this
Fancy tie.
fancy bow tie.
It's not gonna work.
Fancy, well, yeah, if I double it over. Here, just bear with me.
Ta-da!
So Joseph was in his fancy Pharaoh clothes. Yeah, just get up there so they can see it. Oh, Joseph was in his fancy Pharaoh clothes, and they did not recognize Joseph, but Joseph recognized them, and Joseph was able to save his family. And you know what Joseph said at the end? He said,
Get this thing off me.
no, he didn't say that.
No, get it off me, please.
Fine. You're no fun sometimes.
I'll wear it.
I know you'll wear it. You love to wear accessories. But Adam and Carl, can you hang out for a second both? What Joseph said at the end, he said, what you guys planned for evil, God used for good. And we aren't always in charge of what other people do. And sometimes God lets people make bad choices. But guess what? God can turn their bad choices into good things in our lives if we keep our trust in him and follow him. And because Joseph continued to obey God, even when things were totally unfair, at the end, God turned it into a good thing where Joseph saved his family, he saved a whole country, and a lot of people in the world. So I just want to let you guys know that if you obey God, he will help you work things out.
We have
Okay?
saved 2 countries.
2 countries.
Maybe 3.
3?
All the surrounding countries.
A lot of countries. Adam, what are you going to be up to for the rest of the day? What are your plans?
Didn't you wake me up in the middle of my sleep?
Yes, I did.
That's what I'm gonna go back to
Oh,
doing.
you're going back to bed. Okay. Good night, Adam. Hey, Carl, what are your plans for the rest of the day?
I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna go like hunt, and then at night I'm gonna howl at the full moon. Ooh,
That's how you howl? Let me hear a really good howl. Ooh, that is a really good howl. So if you guys hear any howling tonight, it might be Carl out howling at the moon. So you guys have a great day, and remember to always trust in God. Hey, if you love the graphics that you saw at the front of this video and the cool little Bible characters, this is where we got them. We got them from Narciso Evaristo and his awesome Etsy shop, Smart Arts for Kids. So feel free to check that out. It's a lot of great work, a lot of great stuff for school or for church.
Hey, you want to see more of these awesome videos? Then you should like, share, and subscribe. So, boom, hit that button. Boom, boom.